Yemen is the world's worst atrocity, and it's currently ongoing. And there's a famine there. There's a blockade from Saudi Arabia. There's indiscriminate bombing of civilians. They've bombed open marketplaces. They've bombed mosques. They've bombed schools, civilian infrastructure. And this is something that got a little bit of coverage for a while, but now it's mysteriously disappeared. Now, why did it disappear? Well, Joe Biden famously came out and said, we're not going to help Saudi Arabia anymore with offensive bombing. Now, notice the wording there. He added the word offensive, which means what? He's leaving the wiggle room to say we're going to help them with defensive bombing. Yeah, but what if none of the bombing is defensive? Well, they'll just call it defensive and help bomb. And that's the gist of it. And that's what they did. So great work here from Adam Johnson on his Substack. With Democrat back in White House, MSNBC returns to ignoring U.S.-backed war in Yemen. Since Biden's election win on November 3rd, 2020, MSNBC hasn't done a single segment on the world's worst humanitarian disaster. Not a single segment on it. So, what are the ones that came under Trump, the segments under Trump? Well, look at this. August 9th, 2018, Chris Hayes, dozens of children killed in school bus bombing in Yemen. Day later, Velshian rule. An airstrike in Yemen struck a school bus, killing children. Chris Hayes, 14 million people on brink of starvation in Yemen. Chris Hayes again, Trump boosts authoritarians as war rages in Yemen. Chris Hayes again, Pompeo-backed continuing U.S. role in war in Yemen. More from Chris Hayes. Senate advances bill to end support for war in Yemen. More with Chris Hayes. Chris Murphy on what's at stake with vote on Yemen. More on Chris Hayes. Paul Ryan's cowardly act on Yemen. Andrea Mitchell. Bernie Sanders. This is from Bernie Sanders. Congress must determine U.S. involvement in Yemen crisis. Ali Velshi. Senate votes to end U.S. support for Saudi-led war in Yemen. So they did a number of segments on it. And, well, you would think now that the crisis is over. It's not over. It's not even close to over. People are still starving. There's still a famine. There's still bombings happening all the time. In fact, there was one that just happened like last week or so, and there's just no coverage of it now. Why? Well, back when Trump was in office, they got to talk about these atrocities and blame it on Trump. Now that Trump's out of office, they don't have anything to say. And in a weird way, there'd even be more to say about this right now. Why? Because of the fake posturing from Biden and because of the veneer he put up, this facade, this kabuki theater, where he pretended like, we're not going to help with this atrocity anymore. And now he's continuing to help with the atrocities. So the media would have more of a reason to be like, hey, you said you wouldn't help and you're helping with it. Oh yeah, but offensive and defensive weapons and... There's a lot to call out there. They haven't said a word. There's been like a couple passing references, but not a single actual segment dedicated to it. Not on Chris Hayes, not from Ali Velshi. And those are nominally the best ones there. Not from anybody. Now, listen, I'm not making this argument to make the point that they're worse, because you see the same shit with the Republicans. You know, there'll be an issue that's terrible that they ignore under Trump, and then the same fucking issue under Biden, they're like, look at this issue. So, you know, there's equal opportunity hackery going on here, but there's no excuse for any of it. If you care about the issue, talk about the issue. If you care about the issue, try to fix the issue. And the left has been placated too. I haven't seen much from any of the people, even the ones who led the charge, whether it's Bernie Sanders or Ro Khanna on the left. I haven't seen them really take it to Biden on this. So again, you wonder why people get cynical about politics. You wonder why people become doomers and nihilists. Look, I'm against the doomerism and the nihilism, but I sure as hell understand where the hell it comes from. And I don't blame those individuals because they're victims of the system as well. I blame the totally toothless and pathetic professional left and elected left, so-called left. It's their fault. You guys, whether it's the media or the politicians, you guys haven't delivered on Dickie McGee's act, and so of course people are going to feel nihilistic and like doomers. Because it's on you to do some shit. Now, again, you fight that urge as much as possible because it's not helpful and it's exactly what the establishment wants. But I sure as shit understand where it comes from. And this is just such a great example of it here. How many times? You talked about it endlessly under Trump. Now, not a word about Yemen. There's still a drought going on there. There's still a blockade. Children are starving. I'm sure COVID is rampant. People are dying. They're bombing civilian infrastructure, and nobody's saying anything. So anytime, I don't want to hear any posturing from the U.S. government or anybody about beacon of freedom and democracy, world police, whatever. We are actively facilitating the world's worst humanitarian crisis, and dare I say the word, genocide. We are facilitating it. We're on the wrong side of it. And nobody's got anything to say about it. Even on the so-called left network, my ass cheeks left. They got nothing to say about it. Nothing. Biden's in office. Shh. Beyond pathetic. Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.